Hey, welcome to PNW Enduro. Today I'm doing a bike test. This is 2021 Husqvarna TX300i. So I'm stoked to try a 300 again, and haven't been on a Husky for quite a while. So give this thing a go, let you know what I think. So not a lot of changes from 20 to 21 on this bike. Probably the biggest upgrade is the forks. Got a mid valve added into them. So it'll be interesting to see how much better they are on these air forks. Gotta love the grunt of the 300. Made it sound so good on the trail. Yeah, the forks feel good. Handling that rocky chalk pretty well. So obviously being 2021, this is going to have the latest map update from KTM. Seems to have pretty good off the idle throttle response so far. Okay, so I rode a little bit of road to get over just to some different trails I wanted to hit today. Noticing on the road, this bike is super smooth. I'd say it maybe even vibrates less than my 250. It's buttery smooth. It's really nice. So this is the TX model. So that would be equivalent in KTM to your XC model with a semi-close ratio transmission. It also has the exact air forks. One of the upgrades this year with this bike is the mid valve in the air forks. So far it feels pretty good. I'll hit some more trails and see what I think of it. As far as add-ons to this bike, AXP Racing skid plate, and it's got soft mousse front and rear. It's got a brand new Dunlop AT81EX gummy, really good tire, and on the front it's got a Bridgestone M59, which is pretty much what everyone seems to run around here. It's the most popular front tire by far. So feeling pretty good. I'm gonna go hit up some more trails, try and warm up a little bit. It's really cold today. The power delivery is really linear on this bike. I like it a lot. Yeah, the bike will lug up those hills really easy, gear high. So one of the differences between KTM and Husqvarna is the brakes. So I'm usually not a guy who's really picky about brakes, but I think so far I'm not liking the brakes as much on the Husky. making that grunt though.
After spending a good part of the day on the Husqvarna with the Magura brakes and then switching back to my KTM at the end of the day with the Brembos, it's very apparent that the Husky just doesn't have as good of brakes. Especially the front brake, you really have to apply a lot of pressure to get them to bite, and they're just not as responsive as the Brembos on the KTM.
So my personal bike is the 2020 KTM 250 XT. I'm definitely going to be getting a 300 next. Got a couple 250s in the row. And these days I think the 300s are just more suited to the kind of riding that I do most of the time. Slow and technical. So one thing I noticed on this bike, the steering stops are still in. They're turned all the way in. But that's one of the first things I do is take the steering stop bolts out. And it makes stuff like this a lot easier. Just gives you a little bit more turning radius. But yeah, this is a big advantage right here. You got something to grab. Unlike the KTM plastic where there's no real good spot to grab. So I like that on the Husky. This bike's still got the stock flag style handguards that they come with. Ooh, this has been chewed up pretty bad. Personally, I always run full wrap guards in the woods here. So, a little nervous. I don't want to break anyone's levers today. So the clutch pull on this bike, super light. Nice having a freshie. All the oils are still brand new. So to me, one of the biggest advantages of the TTI bike is how they seem to be able to get through technical stuff and just lug through it, and you don't spin the wheel or light the wheel up. They just seem to get traction better. This 300 is definitely no exception. Helps to have that killer Dunlop gummy tire on there too, of course. So everything just feels just a bit easier on this bike. Just the extra torque. A little bit less peppy power than my 250. Forks are feeling pretty good. Of course, these are not set on quite to my liking. I've had a fair bit of work done to my air forks now. These ones are still stock, so not really quite a fair comparison. But out of the box, yeah, they probably are a bit of an upgrade with that mid valve on my 2021s. Another thing you get with the Huskies over the KTMs is your map switch. Honestly, I don't really think the map switches do that much. I've never really found them to be an advantage, and I just run them in the hot mode for the most part. So one of the biggest differences between the KTM is the subframe. So the Husqvarnas, they come with the composite, which is a plastic subframe, and I don't like it. I don't think plastic is the greatest thing. I've seen a lot of them online being broken. It's actually heavier than the aluminum one too, so I'm not sure. The advantage is supposed to be maybe better flex, but I would definitely prefer the aluminum, like the KTM and the new gas have. Nice little waterfall there right now. But overall, yeah, that's a really solid bike this year. Power delivery is spot on. Every year the TPI gets a little bit refined, improved the map. For my kind of riding, power delivery is just excellent. Of course, you can still tune the power valve. I mean, there's a debate whether you should turn the power valve on these or not, but a lot of people do. But yeah, it's a solid bike. Fun to ride. Stock suspension is pretty darn good these days. So this bike was loaned to me by local rider Sean. So thanks a lot for letting me take your bike for a spin. I haven't broken anything yet. But yeah, I'll leave a link to Sean's website. He's a photographer actually, and does a lot of really cool moto related stuff with his photography. So great guy. And every time I get on the 300, I just want one more and more. First thoughts on the first ride on the 2021 Husqvarna TX300i. Really impressed with this bike. Super smooth power, good throttle response all around. Loving it for that. Love the 300 grunt. Suspension feels great. Forks are a little bit better, I think, this year. The shock is pretty much the same. Otherwise, from 2020, there's not too much changed. But yeah, it's a solid overall bike. My only really complaint with this bike is I'm not a fan of the composite subframes, but otherwise, yeah, great bike. Husqvarna. Another KTM, really, but a little bit different. Got some different things on it, map switch and whatnot. Usually a little bit more money, at least where I am. The Huskies are slightly more than the KTMs, but not much. So And I need a few things on this bike. It's got to throw on the rad guards still. Pretty much brand new bike, still only a few hours on it. So thanks again to Sean for letting me take it out and letting you guys know what I think of it. Love the 300. Thanks for watching.